Hello, this is George Middle, and today we're continuing working on our little game that we're making. Now, I have already kind of done the tutorial, and then my video editing software messed up, and you couldn't really see anything. So I'm kind of redoing the tutorial, and there kind of is some stuff left over from last time I did delete the scripts, and I'm going to reprogram them. So what you're going to do is create a folder called Images, and inside create a new image and just call it color _black, which you can do that by opening Explorer and then just new bitmap image and then using paint to make it black. Okay, and also what I'm going to do is just go down the player and you want to create something which is just a cube, and there's just the black texture dragged on that cube, and on that cube there is a child of that cube which is called spawn. You want to call it spawn? Well, you can call it really whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. You can call it like gunfire or whatever, and try to position it as close as you can to, well, this point near the end of the gun, because that's where the bullets are going to be firing, is out the yellow arrow there, or blue arrow, which is the z-axis. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a new script, and we'll call this gun, which is going to be for our gun. So let's wait for that to load. Now I'm doing this on a bit faster computer. I'm not doing this on a laptop. I'm doing this on actually my micro server, which is actually quite powerful for the size of case that I have for this. Surprised it's not blown up yet, but whatever. Okay, so drag this gun script onto the spawn, and you want to double click the gun script and open up with Mono Development. Okay, so what you need to do is set up some variables. So we'll set up a public rigid body. Now this is going to be our object, our bullet, so I'm going to call this bullet, and then we also need to set up how fast our bullet's going to go. Set this as a float, and we'll have this equal 45.5 f. We'll just try that. Remember, you have to put the f there to tell the computer that this is a float number. Okay, and we don't really actually, yes, we're gonna need the start function, because later on, forgot to mention, this is just part 1, and later on we're gonna have it so then every time you fire, it goes down a couple bullets, well, probably one bullet unless it's a machine gun. And I'm also thinking of adding cooldowns, so you can, well, there's be two different types of cooldown. So every time you fire, it doesn't constantly fire unless it's a machine gun, but then also going to have heat up, so if you're constantly firing the gun, eventually it's going to start heating up, and then you have to just wait a couple seconds for it to cool down again, and then continue shooting, which I guess is realistic. I've only fired a machine gun once, but I've never fired it enough to actually heat up, so I'm not really too sure on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if input dot get button down, I want to get the fire key, which is also your left mouse button. So fire 1. And then, okay, inside here we want to type rigid body. Now this is just a variable, so call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it IMP, and instant, and then this is our bullet. It is a transform position, comma, transform dot rotation as rigid body, and then this is the part where it's going to fire the bullet. So the variable dot velocity equals transform dot transform direction new vector 3, and then speed. So this is there's no, we're not going to tell it to go any, there's not going to be any force applied to X, and there's not going to be any force applied to Y. If we did that, the bullet would just kind of go everywhere. We just want to apply speed to the Z axis, so when the bullet spawns, it's going to push that bullet forward at 45.5 world units per frame. Now, I can't really tell you what that is in miles because I have no idea how Unity measures anything. Should like to figure that out someday, so that probably would be helpful. Okay, so we'll go back to Unity and just wait for that to load. And we're getting no errors. Okay, and we'll go back to our spawn. Now what we need to do is apply a bullet prefab. So let's create our bullet. Just going to adjust this here. So we'll go to Game Object, and the closest thing in Unity to a bullet, it's kind of debatable, but the best thing probably to do is just create a sphere and have that fire forward. We're going to change all this stuff later on. I'm going to download a gun model from TurboSquid or ask someone to make it, and then I'll probably make a simple bullet in Blender or something like that. Okay, also I'm going to add the color black to this, just so we can see it a bit better when it fires. And then also we have to add a rigid body to this. And I wouldn't really mess around with any of the settings. You want if you can, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to call this bullet. And then we want to create a new prefab. So let's go to Game Data, and we'll create a new folder, and we'll call this Ether. Let's wait for it to load. I don't know why it's freezing like that, but whatever. And want to create a new prefab, and we'll call this bullet. And we'll drag this bullet onto there. And then we'll just delete this because we don't need this in our scene right now. Go back to the spawn and drag the bullet onto here, and then we'll play this. Okay, so if you see when we fire, there's bullets coming from our gun. You can see that. But I just want to show you something which we're going to fix in a second. If I play this and then we start firing, you see all these things that say bullet clone, bullet clone, bullet clone, all that. Our scene's going to start getting filled with that, and then eventually the computer's going to start lagging. Now the computer that I'm running on, it's better than fine for playing games. I have a hell load of RAM, goodish processor. I wouldn't say excellent, but a really good graphics card in this, so it's not going to lag on my computer. Stop that, but we're going to fix that problem by creating a new script, C# script, and we'll call this bullet _des for destroy. Now this is going to be after so many seconds the bullet will destroy itself. I'm going to set it's after 5 seconds the bullet destroys itself. But eventually, once we get our scene done, which will be after the creation of this gun script, hopefully 1 or 2 tutorials from now, we'll change this up so it's actually when it collides with something. So let's say it collides with a wall. We could make it make bullet holes, but that'd be really pointless for this type of game because, well, it's a top-down shooter, and if you're looking down and you're shooting at a wall, you're not going to see the bullet hole. There'd be just waste of memory, quite pointless. So we're just going to have it so when it hits the wall, it disappears, or when it hits an enemy, it disappears, hits the ground, disappears, etc., etc. And then we'll have a cube all along the bottom, super huge cube, just for anything else. So let's say the player somehow finds a glitch where he falls off, we'll have him respawn, or the bullet hits that, it dies, etc., etc. Okay, so we'll drag this onto the bullet here, and then we'll double click it. Let's wait for Mono Development to open. And what I'm going to do is, we don't need our update function, so we'll just type game object dot, or was it destroy? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Destroy game object colon, and after 5 seconds destroys it. And okay, so we'll go back to here, just wait for that to load, and then if we play this and we fire a bullet, let's wait 5 seconds, and it disappeared, which is excellent. So if our player just goes mad and starts insanely firing bullets every which direction, they're going to start disappearing. Okay, so that should be it for this tutorial. We'll supply our character there. Okay, well, it's doing whatever Unity's doing. Oh, it's done now, but now if you need help with this script, just leave a comment. Make sure to rate, subscribe definitely, and I'll also have this script for free on my website, dblueagle.com. I'll have it on the watch page, which I'll have a link in the description, and in the description of that video it'll have the code at the bottom, so just go to the page, scroll down, and you'll see all the code that I used for this video. So this is it. Have fun till next time, and goodbye.